Welcome, everyone, to Grey Matter Hounds podcast, the science salon where predictive minds explore hounds and behavior and many other things, dogs. I'm your host, Bono, and this is a space where neuroscience meets the couch. Well, literally, because our first salon is called Behavior from Track to Couch, understanding the racing greyhound's behavior pattern a bit better when he gets retired and you're homed. In the future, we will cover subjects on brains, behavior, adaptation, training methods, adoption processes, and meet some professionals within the behavior and rehoming industries. So, everything about the beautiful and baffling world of dogs, brains, and behavior, but especially our greyhounds. Whether you're living with a retired greyhound, thinking about adopting one, or just curious about how dogs actually experience the world, you have come to the right place for some new knowledge stuff. So let's explore things a bit. What if behavior isn't about reaction and obedience, but about predictive action and movements calibrated by the brain to live an energy efficient life? Greyhounds are often described as the 45-mile-an-hour couch potatoes, hence chose our first topic as an intro, behavior from track to couch. And that 45-mile-an-hour couch potato comment is somewhat true. They do enjoy a couch or a bed or anything soft, especially if it's your usual spot and then they want a cockroach right on that spot. I call that behavior warming up my spot. Adopters often bring greyhounds home and they expect some time for adjustment, but eventually they're hoping to have this, easy, calm hound tolerant of everything. And in many cases, that's eventually the pet they experience to have, thank God. But some adopters do maybe suddenly have some of the following issues. The dog may be freezing on walks. He may not eat all his meals or just once to eat in the morning or at night. He may not be comfortable to go through doorways or darker hallways. He may spook easily at any type of movement, panic on tiles or other types of slippery and shiny floors, or stairs for that matter. The hound may be uncomfortable being alone at home and chew everything, or express discomfort by barking, growling, or ear snapping, which can freak anybody out, especially our new owners though. And these issues, they can be confusing and very worrying, there's no doubt about it. But there is one key idea that we'll come back to again and again on this podcast. Your dog isn't reacting to the world as it is. It is responding to the world the hound predicted to be via action and movements we observe as expressed behaviors. So let's get into the details a little bit more. Modern neuroscience suggests that brains, humans or canines or any brain or organism, are predicting their next efficient actions and movements. As the observer, we call those behaviors. So instead of waiting for the world to happen, brains constantly guess what its body's needs are and prepare for those needs before they arise via actions and movements to express in a timely response to avoid injury and death. That is energy efficient. By actions, we think of anything from ion diffusion, excretion of chemicals such as cortisol, adrenaline, or other substances like neuromodulators, or the change in respiration, change of heart rate, and other visceral motor actions like digestion. So right up to what we can see from the outside, which are the musculoskeletal sequences we observe and categorize as behavior. In dog training or behavior adaptation, few ever talk about energy cost or the influence of the physical states such as metabolic regulation. Scientists call that regulation allostasis. It has become more regular in the industry, however, to talk about physical states in relation to illness and injuries when it comes to influencing behaviors and behavior issues in general. And that is a good thing, but it is still presented treated, researched in an old worldview of something is triggering a reaction through the sensorium to then be learned and stored as a fixed representation to be retrieved later like a computer file. Now, a good example would be the misinterpretation of classical conditioning, where the dog supposedly learned the sound of the metronome to represent food, so to mean food, so that the dog starts salivating. Now, Pavlov did find something really important that to this day is misunderstood. He found that the body prepares the needs predictively before the actual event. He discovered the predictive nature of energy regulation of a system. And this is very profound when we realize that one action potential to excite a cell costs up to 1 million ATP. Now, adenosine triphosphate, I really find it hard to say that name, ATP, short, is the primary energy currency of the cell. And it's acting as a rechargeable molecule that stores and transports chemical energy needed for metabolic processes, so muscles can contract and signal, and learning can occur. So let's be very clear. Learning and moving, apart from illness and injury, are the most costly thing for a system to regulate energy-wise. The cost of that regulation doesn't just influence behavior expression, but effective summaries of the physical state, the conscious experience of how it feels to be an individual, how it feels to be me. It is well established nowadays in neuroscience that to save cost, so be efficient, predicting the needs of the body and preparing for those needs before they arise, making use of past experience or memory via the expression of actions and movements is the most efficient way for a physical system such as you and me or any greyhounds or other dogs or any animals to act upon the world to reduce uncertainty and test its experience of calibrated actions and movements and spend extra to learn something new and important only if it really needs to. Now, for greyhounds having been used to regulate a certain world from its birth and staying longer with the mother than usual pet dogs, being and interacting with its littermates much longer, up to a year of its development, the set exercises, rest, feeding, hydrating and other general kennel routines, all that creates and presents a totally different dog compared to a normally bred pet dog. Now, in the general media, some people typically misrepresent the value of a racing greyhound's upbringing, the routines previously mentioned, and the high welfare it is treated with here in New Zealand, on its behavior strategies while interacting with human society. And many dispute the value of a racing greyhound's first years of experiences as positive foundations of its future predictive behavior capabilities. And they're doing so with little or no knowledge of industry professionals' daily procedures and kennel instructors. Now, to be upfront, I was a little bit like this as well in my earlier years because I didn't know much about the racing industry. And through my work, I had to interact with my clients, so the adopters of greyhounds, and had to go to kennels and meet some of those trainers. And, I realized I was totally wrong, and I had to eat a lot of humble pie, so to speak. So we have to be a little bit careful with assumptions that we make when we don't have actually any knowledge or very little knowledge about a profession. Now, from a predictive brain perspective, the new world of an adoptive home is a physically expensive daily task for a greyhound system. But also for the new adoptive carers. They are having to invest energy costs too, which will affect their feelings and emotions and influence the success rate of the adoption, at least in the first few months. Fancy stuff in people's homes like steep stairs, TVs, beeping washing machines, microwaves, huge glass doors, etc. These are not just new things, they are unexpected things, meaning the hound has to spend extra energy for learning to interact with them. This learning process is expensive, as said, due to all the mismatches between what the hound's brain expects, so prepares for, and the effects of the sensory signals, and the correction that occurs via the hound's actions and movements. So lots and lots of ATP currency spent just to get to know you, the new adopters, and your home. Adds to that other things like new routine from compared to the greyhound kennel, not being with its kennel mates, meeting your new human visitors, the surroundings that are new, and the difference in exercise it gets, the different shape or form of it, etc., etc. Every error update is a value of uncertainty with an energy cost. So let's say a greyhound refuses to walk on a shiny, slippery floor. It's tempting to think it is scared or stubborn, but from a predictive brain's perspective, the brain is trying very hard to energy regulate by finding anything in its path to match actions and movements to interact with that shiny, slippery floor. The same goes for anything else mentioned above that is new to the dog: microwaves, TVs, steep stairs, etc. When the brain fails to find any type of likeness, so any similar actions or movements that be efficient in that instance, behavior reduces to its prepared state to avoid a possible threat, such as standing still or freezing, hiding away, cowering, even trying to get away and run away. That doesn't mean the dog has stopped palpitating and sensing the world. It is still trying to match any likeness using its senses to reduce uncertainty and avoid chaos. From an objective point, as much as one is objective, there's always some subjectivity in any objective observation. The dog is managing a very uncertain event energy efficiently. We are not privy to the hound's affective state, so what it feels like to be a dog. From that perspective, from the observer's point of view, we, the observer, we can say that's anxiety or that's fearful behavior. That doesn't mean the dog is feeling anxious or fearful in that instant. It may feel frustrated or pissed off or any other feeling that we have no direct access to. From an allostatic point of view, behavior is energy efficient strategy in an instance. So if behavior is prediction, then training is about supporting the dog in adapting to new things via interaction. You and your dog interacting and shaping each your own behaviors around each other and other things which make up space. These interactions are about guiding your dog to build better, more efficient predictions in form of actions and movements to new environments, new irregularities with fancy new things in it, other humans and dogs or animals which all act differently to what the greyhound may have been used to before. So we are actively changing past experience with present behavior expressions and repetitions. This changes things because now, instead of asking, how do I stop this behavior or how do I change this behavior with a training method, the questions are, what does my dog try to predict to understand whether something is safe or not, friend or foe, pleasant or yuck? What behaviors will they likely express? How can I make the world more predictable and gently add surprises, resulting in prediction errors which are costly and must be balanced with physically rewarding values, such as rest, positive social interactions with humans and dogs and other animals, some agency and freedom of exploration, enduring exploring the world, apart from the obvious rewarding values, which are good sound sleep, food, and water. This is where consistency and routine, being patient The type of interactions and environment matters more than correction with reward and aversives. We should avoid aversive methods anyway, but what is an aversive is a question for another podcast. What we call behavior problems or issues are predicted action patterns that are mismatching sensory signals. Your greyhound isn't bored or broken, nor is there an even minimal likelihood he has been abused. Your dog's brain is simply controlling and regulating exactly what physical systems evolved to do. He and you are simply learning at your own pace. Whether you have some teething problems with your newly adopted greyhounds or not, your interaction should minimize uncertainty so he feels safe to be curious and able to explore to gain new knowledge through interactions with the world and you. If your dog is freezing, barking, lunging, being easily spooked, or the placid hound you wanted, any of these behavior expressions are as much an exploratory interaction as chasing, sniffing, tracking, levy walking, and the likes. After all, these actions and movements, I promise you, will lead to your hound be the couch potato you envisaged it to be. Once we understand this point of view, we start to feel less frustrated, more curious, and more empowered to work with our hounds, resulting on greater success in behavior adaptations. I hope you enjoyed this first episode. So join us in the future on more episodes of Grey Matter Hounds podcast, where we explore the world of hounds. Till next time, thanks for listening. Ciao.